Great morning, everybody. You are tuned in to Gathering of the Griots. Yay! Another great Tuesday is here, and we are gonna, this hour is gonna be power packed with information you probably don't know. But before we start, let's get a little intro because this is part of the female solution. You need to know that, and then we'll get a little greeting and permission from our elders to begin. So let's get started.
Women have the power to transform this world. We can end crime and violence if we all agree to do one thing: share. Let's share our wisdom, share our time, share our talents, share our finances, but most of all, let's share our love. This is the female solution.
And let's get our tribute from our elders.
And went back to the village with the golden box. He set the golden box and gathered the children as you are gathered now. He opened that box and stories just rushed out of the box.
This is why we are here, because of these people right here. Give it up for the young people today, baby. Give it up better than that, adults. Tell us adults that can't.
Hi, I'm Lauren Cress Love. I'm the sister of the late Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, author of the ISIS Papers and the Cress Theory on Color Confrontation. We're Chicago natives, and to honor her legacy, I'll have her books at the Soulful Chicago Book Fair, Saturday, July 16th, 2016. Be there.
Black Fairy is in this book. Young John Henry, everyone's familiar with the young John Henry, and Deadwood Dick, who's a black cowboy. So these are three plays that are in this book, which has been used by a lot of groups, universities that have produced plays for children.
Hey, Black Child by Usaini Perkins. Hey, Black Child, do you know who you are?
Hi, I'm Joyce Clark. I'm 92 years old, and I have written books for black girls so that they know how important they are and they learn the mystery to their history. I'm going to be at the Soulful Chicago Book Fair, and I want to see you there.
Saturday, August 3rd, 2019. All right. See, it's very important. A lot of people may not know that elders giving permission for us to begin is a very big thing in our culture, always has been since Africa to now. And so in the beginning of the Soulful Chicago Book Fair, there's actually a float of elder writers who asked permission to begin the event. And so that's just a little tribute to some of the elders we've had that are now ancestors. And thank y'all for gracing the space. And so without further ado, we are going to rock and roll today because we have an author on who, I just love when I learn something new. And so today we have none other than author Ashley Hattle on. What's up, Miss Lady?
Hi.
How are you today?
Oh, I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Good. Let me tell you, I was so glad to see you register for the book fair and to see the subject matter because I was like, what? This is interesting. I've not heard of this. And so today we're going to get into not only because you're a nonfiction writer, but you're also a fiction writer, which is battling and or not even battling but balancing the two is another thing, but I love getting into that. And so we are going to jump right into it with the first book you have. I think it is so important, something called cluster headaches. You guys, like, tell us a little bit about why you decided to do this book. Where does it come from?
Well, uh, to try and keep a really long story short, when I was 18, I developed this really sudden and severe head pain. And it was so severe and shocking that I thought I was having an aneurysm. And then I ended up being okay. It went away about an hour and a half later, but then it came back at the same time the next day, and the next day, and the next day after that. And I ended up getting diagnosed with cluster headaches, but then I moved from a small town to Denver, where I went to college. And every doctor I saw told me I couldn't have cluster headaches because I'm a woman and women don't get cluster headaches. And that's not true. And its research is like slowly catching up because historically cluster headaches were considered an old white man's disease because that's where the research focused and that's where the doctors listened. And now things are catching up, and research is realizing for every 2 men that have cluster headaches, there's at least 1 woman that does. So once I kind of got my cluster headache sort of under control with a specialist and oxygen as a treatment, I really wanted to understand what was happening to me. I'm a journalist. I went to MSU in Denver for journalism, and I was really frustrated that I couldn't find any information on this rare condition. There were 3 books on Amazon that mentioned cluster headaches, and one only had a sentence, one mentioned it in a paragraph, and the other was not as useful either. So I decided to write the book that I really needed to read at that moment. And it kind of thrust me into a patient community that now is family, because I found a nonprofit organization called Cluster Busters who validated what I was going through and like gave me the support to advocate for myself with my healthcare providers and like use oxygen correctly. So I interviewed, excuse me, I interviewed about 40 other patients, several neurologists, and went through like a stack of research papers this high to put the book together. And so the book goes through diagnosis and misdiagnosis and treatments to living with the condition, because cluster headaches are nicknamed suicide headaches. There's kind of a PTSD aspect. And then there's a chapter for friends and family. So it really like gives you the whole picture of what it's like to live with cluster headaches. And that's my bit.
Let me tell you the beauty of, there's several beauties of you taking charge of this. But one of the things, I'm a Scientologist, and one of the things I said is, if you see a problem, look at what you didn't do and know why it's a problem. And so the fact that you saw a void, but you decided to fill it, that is like the most courageous move. People don't understand that authors can play. It's like you actually can handle the subject matter that you got an issue? Is there a problem? Good, fix it. And so I'm so happy that you did the work, because it takes courage to do so. And you got some things laid out for us here. So I'm definitely gonna make sure we put that out right now, because you talked a little bit about the study that you've done. And so when I saw this picture, I was like, whoa, wait a minute, what? Wait, that really did, that image describes the pain. Like you could really see what the issue is. And so tell us a little bit about this cluster headache experience, like what it is exactly.
So that picture is the perfect representation of what it feels like. Cluster headaches, they come on really quickly, like within minutes. They're at like the most severe pain, and it feels like a hot poker or an ice pick, or like I like to describe it as the pronged side of a hammer, just hitting you in the eye and temple, and it's only on one side. And it's so sudden and jarring that you can't really think about anything else. And it's we'll see on the next slide, but it's been described as more painful than kidney stones and childbirth. And as someone whose epidural did not work,
Wow.
I can agree. It's the same. I wouldn't say it's worse, but it's the same. Yeah, so this was the biggest study ever done on cluster headaches. And it was put on through Cluster Busters, because Cluster Busters has been like creating this patient community for about 20 years. So this included 2,200 people. And as you can see, it talks about how people voted or rated the experience of kidney stones, migraine, gunshot wounds, or shingles compared to the pain of a cluster headache. And then down here, it talks about the suicide headache aspect that I mentioned, because it's really interesting, because it's not people who have suicidal ideations during an attack. We call them attacks because they're like so sudden. It's not that they want to end their lives, it's that they want to end the pain. Sorry, not to get too graphic, but
come on with it, girl. Come on. This Gavin of the Griots. We got to let it out.
Okay, there was a patient in Boston who pulled out his eyeball during an attack, and he went to the ER, and he told them that it didn't feel worse.
Oh my God.
So yeah, like imagine that type of severe pain, and then imagine you go to urgent care or the ER, and they're telling you it's all in your head, it can't be this, throwing opiates at the problem when that's not a treatment at all. So it's just like it really breaks you down, because you're having them at regular times throughout the day.
Okay.
At my worst, I was having 6 a day.
Oh God.
And at an hour and a half a piece, it's like you can't really function in between those hours.
Right.
Lost my train
of thought. Because you're coming down off of the pain, correct? Like in the time between. And I guess I kind of also want to ask, how in the world do they start? Like, what is the reason why a cluster headache occurs?
Yeah, I want to know that answer too. I was really bummed that writing the book, I didn't like stumble upon a cure,
Okay.
But they don't really understand why cluster headaches happen. There's a couple different theories. It might be genetic, but it could be one of those genes that like could be turned on by trauma, or like some soldiers come back from war with cluster headaches, like after concussions.
Okay.
So, like, it can be a lot of different things.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna, I'm thinking about it, and I'm happy that like there is a Cluster Busters organization. Are you suggesting that people? Is that where they go to like help out the situation, find out more about it, or is that what you did?
Yes, I would definitely recommend the nonprofit. I was on the board of directors for a little bit, but then I had some babies and I couldn't go off of that.
Yes.
They have an annual patient conference, and that's really where I learned most of what I know about cluster headaches. Like, doctors, they only get an hour lecture about headache disorders throughout their entire medical school. And cluster headaches are like a footnote in that. So the most frustrating part is like the lack of awareness among doctors, and we as patients have had to like fill in all the blanks and figure it out for ourselves.
Wow. Hopefully or faithfully, your work will create a more of an awareness. Because I'm gonna tell you straight up, before talking to you, I had no idea that this was even a thing that people go through. I mean, at most we hear migraines, and I guess what did you find the difference was between like having a migraine and a cluster headache? Are they the same? Are they different? In what ways? Like, what did you find?
They're different in a lot of ways. I also get status migraines that last up to 5 days. They're very debilitating. Uh, so migraines are just as awful, but they are very different. And that's one of the frustrations with a misdiagnosis, because cluster headaches, they happen for 15 minutes to 3 hours, and they happen on one side of the face. And you can sometimes it looks like you're having a stroke, because your
Right.
eye will like swell and your nose will get runny or stuffy, like your face droops.
Right.
So that happens with cluster headaches every time. But with migraine, you might get one side or two side, and it's not that stabbing pain. It's more like a vice tightening your head.
Oh God. Yeah. This is sounding, because I had, not only have I had a stroke, but I also had Down's so what do you call that? Palsy, cerebral palsy. No, what do you call that when the face goes dead? I forgot what it's called. But anyway, but that whole sensation of, but it's no pain, but it's just like your face is dead and you can't smile, you can't, Bell's palsy, that's what it's called.
Okay.
So yeah, but it's like you experience this one side of your face goes dead. But I mean, all of it is neurological. I was interested to see, I went to your website and I saw that this gentleman here was a patient who they called it a sweat headache. Can you explain like the situation with this guy and what happened with him?
This is Phil, and he's a great advocate who comes to the conference every year. And he actually he got diagnosed right away, which is pretty rare.
Okay.
Like for me, it took like 7 years for people to believe me. And like some people, it's up to 15 years. But Phil was diagnosed right away, and he got his oxygen prescription right away, which like means the difference between surviving and thriving.
Okay.
So let me remind. Okay, so the sweat headache is how he and his doctor described it. And then like after figuring out his symptoms, the doctor came to the right diagnosis, which is really lucky and rare.
Wow. Now let me ask, and if you guys want to call in, look, I know sometimes you guys wait to the last minute. I'm going to advise you not to do that. But if you want to call in, I'm going to put the phone number right at the bottom. And that's 727-731-5192. If you have any questions for Ashley about this, if this is something that you've been exposed to but didn't know what it was, but it sounds like something that you are clear that you've had experience with or a friend had experience with, don't hesitate to call in 727-731-5192, and then we'll take your call. And so I'm glad that you found a community, though, Ashley, where people are actually going through this. I'm glad that this brother had an early diagnosis. I hate that you had such a long one, but your studies, this is making you an expert in the area. Be clear on that. When you do a book, people come looking for you because you're the one that actually took the time to make it into something bigger than that. Now, you gave me another slide. This is the Irwin test for cluster headache. Explain what that is.
So this is a test that, so Dr. Burish down in Texas is one of our biggest advocates. Like he only studies cluster headaches.
Okay.
And so he got together with this organization called the Will Irwin Foundation. Their son, Will Irwin, committed suicide because of cluster headaches. And his family formed the foundation to raise awareness and research.
Okay.
So basically, you ask yourself these 3 questions, and ideally your doctor asks you too, but you can bring it into your doctor. And if it's the worst pain you have ever experienced, that's typically how people describe cluster headaches. And then how long does it last? And then what happens to your face? Like, do you have physical symptoms on your face?
Okay.
And that's kind of the easiest way to narrow it down to, it could be this. There are a couple other conditions that are kind of like cluster headaches. Like SUNCT is this really long word. So it's like an acronym, but it's the same kind of pain, but it only lasts 15 seconds to a couple minutes.
Okay. And what's the difference? How do you know if it's that or a cluster headache, or is that just a smaller form, or what?
It's just a smaller form.
Okay.
So really, and I'm not a doctor, so like I might not get this 100%, but I believe like one of the biggest differences is how long, like if it's over in seconds or minutes versus hours.
Got you. Okay. Now, what you may have said this, but I'm not really sure. Is there an age that is specific to this experience? Because I know when we go through certain phases in life, like I'm over half a century old, there are things that just start changing in the body. But I think you said the age that they started for you, but is it children, all ages, once you get past 40, or what is it?
So I love that you said that, because it's different for women than men, which going back is like part of the reason why it's so hard for women to get diagnosed, because all of the research was done on men. So most women start getting cluster headaches in their 20s or their 50s. And what's happening around those times? You got a lot of hormone fluctuations and menopause, and so there definitely is this hormone aspect of it. So women tend to get it then. Men tend to get it in their 30s or their 60s.
Interesting. Okay.
But my husband, he has chronic cluster headaches. I'm episodic, meaning I get a break in between, but he just gets them every day. He is the outlier because his started when he was 12.
Did you just say your husband?
Yes.
What? Y'all both get cluster headaches?
Yeah, we met through advocacy.
Oh, that's how you found each other. Oh, well, look, there's a silver lining somewhere. But anyway, go ahead. So he got his when now?
He was 12, and none of the treatments for him. And when you're 12, doctors don't really want to, try everything because you're still growing. So he went through this period where his doctor told his mom that it was all in his head. And so for 3 months, he was trying to tell himself, I can make this go away. Like, it's my mental health, not something wrong. And God, I can't imagine how hard that would be, having somebody tell you, oh, you can just make it go away. But luckily, his mom learned more about cluster headaches, found out about cluster busters, found a better headache specialist. And he was able to get his GED and go to college. And he still gets them about 6 times a day. But but he's got a really good treatment plan now that really helps.
What? Wait a minute. I'm sitting here a little stunned, almost getting caught daydreaming, because I am trying to imagine getting a cluster buster headache 6 times a day. Like, what are neurologists saying about this? Like, what are they prescribing? Or like is there a diet connected with managing sort of a more normal environment in the brain? Like, is there any recommendation from them, like on a neurology standpoint?
Yes. And thank you for asking that, because I tend to jump around so much.
No, it's good.
So oxygen is the most effective treatment. So I actually have mine right here.
I love this. I love it.
So cluster headaches, they're so unique in so many ways. So the most effective treatment with no side effects is high flow oxygen, but
Okay.
you need a mask like this that's a non-rebreather,
Okay.
and you need a high flow. So I have mine at
Ah,
25, but patients should have at least 15.
okay. Okay.
Then the breathing is unique too. It's do you care if I do a demo?
Do your thing, girl. I'm gonna put you big on the screen. Wait a minute. Go ahead.
Oh, hold on. Not tight enough.
No problem.
Okay.
And you guys, if you're just tuning in, you're watching Gathering of the Griots. We're with Ashley Hattle, who is the author of Cluster Headache Attacks. And she's showing us how to better handle it. I'm about to get a demo. I'm taking myself out of the picture. Let's get a peek.
So with cluster headaches, you can abort an attack within 15 minutes. For me, it takes 9 with a specific breathing technique. So I'm just going to show you. And then I'll shut it off. I don't want to waste it because it's expensive. So you want to do quick, short breaths in until the bag is empty, and then a quick exhale. And the theory is you want to induce, you want to feel a little lightheaded or hypoxia. And after that for 9 minutes, my headache is completely gone. And that's huge because
Thank God.
Yeah. And the other treatment is sumatriptan injections to stop an attack. There's preventatives you can take. And then there's steroid bursts that can help stop them too. But for an actual headache that's happening right now, an injection is the fastest.
Okay.
But over the last couple of years, the price of sumatriptan injections has gone from $200 to $2,000.
Oh my gosh, for one injection.
For 2 injections.
What are they injecting you with? Oxygen? What?
It's called sumatriptan, and it's been around since the 1990s. So there's no reason for this medication to cost this much except for greed.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I rely on oxygen.
Okay.
And, the healthcare system is such a problem. The patient community, we will actually share our oxygen tanks. If you're prescribed something that you can't afford at the pharmacy, there are patients that will help you afford that medication.
Wow. Okay.
Because we all know what it feels like, and I wouldn't wish a cluster headache on. I guess there's a few evil people in the world.
Right.
But I wouldn't wish a cluster headache on really anyone.
Well, let me ask you, what about the increase of oxygenated food? I know that I recently had a seizure and a stroke. Those are both neurology issues, your brain damage, blah, blah. Intake of green leafy food right now is major. What? Just, is there anything in accredited to doing that more, taking more green vegetables because you're taking in more oxygen? I mean, I would have plants everywhere, just because I do a similar breathing exercise in terms of short breaths for my hypertension and anything, that then ends up being a result connected to the brain. But it's like breathing in for 4, holding for 7, breathing out for 8. And the key is oxygen, getting more oxygen. So is there any kind of recommendation diet-wise that help you guys?
So I love that you asked that, because there is a page in my book. Let's see if I can find it. Where I call it headache kryptonite. Turned right to it. Okay.
Bam.
So in researching this book and really just wanting to get better, I looked into every food that is possibly connected to head pain. And I came up with this really long list that you can find in my book. But
I love it.
It goes through meats, vegetables, baked goods, fruits. But I was on this diet for a while, and it really didn't help me. And my husband has been on a similar diet where he basically ate chicken, vegetables, and rice.
Okay.
Cluster headaches, the triggers tend to be alcohol. Like when
Yeah.
I'm in an episodic cycle, one sip of champagne or one sip of red wine, and a couple minutes later, I have one.
Oh my God, no. I would never touch it. I would never touch it. No way. I mean, I don't drink. I never have drink, but I'm just saying no way could it enter the body. And then I guess him eating the oxygenated, well, chicken and rice and all that is not the oxygenated food I'm talking about, but the green food. I actually drink celery juice every morning. That it actually lowers my blood pressure, blah, blah, blah. But then I eat a primarily raw diet because what I need oxygen in the body. Even oxygen is needed in the teeth and gums to make you have healthy teeth and gums, but I'm so happy you put that in your book about, the diet and the foods. I'm writing a book currently called I Had to Choose to Feel Better, that is going to chronicle some of what I'm doing and what I've done to make the situation better. But that's so important. We just talking and talking. We're going to take a commercial break, guys. And again, if you want to call in the 727-731-5192, we are going to switch over to my girl's novel that she wrote. But I love it because it still deals with the mind, and I just love that you did it. So you guys stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. We have a little bit that you need to know about the Female Solution and what's coming to the stage every day of the week. So take a peek.
The Female Solution global radio TV show invites you to an invigorating, empowering, interactive conversation with our team of hosts Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Central Time. Start your week with Monday Morning Mindfulness with Zelda Speaks. Tuesdays, Gathering of the Griots with Asada. Wednesdays, Repairing Family Relationships with Naima and co-host Kareem Hamid. Thursdays, Veggie Brunch Live with Angela. Fridays, Health and Well-Being with Beata. Saturdays, tune in 12 noon to 2 p.m. Central Time. First Saturday, Global Talks with Zana. Second Saturday, Walk in Your Divine Authority with Mama Joy. Third Saturday, Move Around with Deborah. Fourth Saturday, be a judge on the virtual Teens, Tweens, and Tots Talent Contest. And fifth Saturday, join us on location as we conversate at the Elevate Cafe, owner Jackie Brooks. Sundays, join us 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Central Time for Soul Purpose Healing with Beata. Go to thefemalesolution.com to join us on our video or audio live streaming platforms. Listen at www.blogtalkradio.com/the-female-solution. Call in on the Blog Talk Radio Network 515-605-9325 or call in and comment on the On-Air Radio Network 727-731-5192. We want to hear from you.
All right, you beautiful people, before we go into Ashley Hattle's novel, we do have a caller. And so let me see. Are you there with us, caller? Let me see what your number is. 773-580. You're on the air. Tell us who you are and where you're from.
Penny Jack.
Oh my gosh, I know her. Oh God. How are you, my love?
I'm good, Judy. How are you?
I'm just loving life and loving hearing your voice on the show. Tell us what you're talking about this morning.
Well, this is, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just glad to hear your voice, glad to be back, glad you're back.
Okay.
I just, woke up and I thought, you know what? Look at here. You came up on Facebook. I was scrolling.
Oh,
And I
okay.
said, let me call and see if I could get in. So it's it wasn't planned, but I'm very, very happy that that I'm on.
Well, we are so thankful that you are a caller that's talking about, I don't know what I'm talking about. But anyway, take good look at the fact that this young lady, Ashley Hattle, is no joke in terms of making sure that we understand what a cluster headache is and how we care for people that are having these symptoms. And I mean, she just did a whole demonstration and everything on the role that oxygen plays in helping us get rid of the condition. So thank you for calling in, darling. We are about to delve into her novel life because she has a novel that's fabulous that I want to get into. So thanks for calling, Penny.
All righty.
And I'm happy I'm back. Thank you.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Okay, peace. All right, guys. And so if you weren't in before we left for the commercial break, we're sitting here with Ashley S. Hattle, who is a nonfiction writer who's done writing on, the name of her book is Cluster Headaches Attacks, and it deals with handling the issue. She is an expert as far as I'm concerned, because do you find that your book, is this like the first book about cluster headaches? Because you said you found stuff, but it was just like a little bit here and a little bit there.
Yes, it is very much the go-to book for cluster headaches. There's a couple doctors who give it away to their patients when they're diagnosed.
Ooh,
but I want to mention another book came out this last year, written by Joanna Kempner, called Psychedelic Outlaws. And it's about an alternative treatment that was an accidental discovery in the early 2000s, involving psilocybin mushrooms and cluster headaches. So her book is really fascinating, and I highly recommend that one as well.
Okay, we're going to recommend her when she's part of the book fair or something like that. But for now, we're only recommending Ashley Hattle. No shade to her, but I'm just saying you are my expert. That's the bottom line. And so, you guys, I put Ashley's website at the bottom of the page, ashleyhattle.com. You can not only find this book, but you'll find the other book that we're about to talk about on that page as well. And can they purchase on that page?
Yes, the book is available on ashleyhattle.com. It's also available on Amazon. I'm pretty sure it's cheaper on my website, though.
Yeah, always, girl. It's always cheaper because even just shipping alone. So definitely, guys, go to ashleyhattle.com and put this book in your life. I think one of the things, we've had people buy books on the show once they see the author, but then I'm like, come to the book fair and get a sign, baby, and get your picture done too. So anyway, you see the website, guys, at the bottom, and this is like, when I saw this ribbon, I was like, wow, this is like a whole movement. Like, the purple, what is that? Is that like a purple ribbon with is that a red sort of electric symbol or something, or what is that underneath there?
It's a lightning bolt because the paint feel like it's striking you. But
Yes.
Just a quick story about this ribbon. This ribbon was designed by the late John Fletcher. He lived on hospice for nearly a decade before he passed last month. And he was one of the earliest advocates for cluster headache patients. He published a few articles about like what it feels like and the mental health aspect of it. So he was a really great advocate, and he's sorely missed.
Okay, and look what he left. This is my thing about life. You leave something that adds a legacy to whatever you're dealing with, and the fact that exists. Thank you for having that. I was like, oh, I'm putting that up. We need to know about the movement and putting that up. All right. So you guys, you see ashleyhattle.com, definitely go to our website. But this, is an intro for your novel, A Haunting Between Worlds. Talk about that. What's that about? That's such a good cover, girl. Such a good cover. Yeah, talk about that.
I want to say one last thing about my other book real quick.
Sure.
Is that if you're having a headache and the treatment isn't working, bring someone to the doctor's visit with you and make sure that your doctor is listening to your symptoms. I just wanted to make sure I said that before moving on.
That's totally fine. This is your show, my dear. So definitely make sure that you contact Ashley as well if you have any questions, if you're not here on the phone to do so. All right, so go ahead, girl. Tell us about
Okay.
A Between Worlds.
So I'm glad you like the cover, because that took me about 40 hours in Photoshop.
Oh my God, you did it yourself. You slayed it. You did a wonderful job.
Thank you. I'm really happy with what how it turned out. So this is my baby that I've been working on for about 15 years. And so on the surface, it's very much a ghost story. A young college student rescues a man who's drowning, and she falls into a coma, and her soul is stuck in this ghost realm, or this between world. And what I love about this between world is it's all about processing your life and your trauma in order to move on. And if you don't, there are these creatures called the shadows who like feed on your despair, basically. So through the course of the book, Charlie has to face a lot of what happened in her past. Her mother was bipolar and committed suicide, and she's processing that. And there's a really great healing moment that I can't talk about.
That's right.
And she was also a domestic violence victim. So in this between world, she's running from the shadows, like through her memories, and she's really having to process everything she's been through. And in the end, comes out stronger for it. And her counterpart in the book, David, the man she rescues, he's dealing with his own issues. He was in prison for 3 years in Chicago for a crime I can't tell you.
Hey, that's right. Don't give it away.
And he's dealing with a lot of guilt about that, and navigating the world after that, which is why I'm really intrigued about your book, He's Out. And he's also really hoping that this woman who risked her life for him recovers and gets better, because he really just can't handle that guilt on him. He can't handle being responsible for someone getting hurt again.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of it in a nutshell.
Yeah, don't give it all away. I mean, it's so good. I mean, one of the things I did that I thought was so important was people had these comments, guys, on her book. I was like, "Ooh, she got 5 stars everywhere." And so somebody says, makes the idea of the afterlife even more frightening. Oh, Lord. They said frightening. And then it says, another person says, from start to finish, this book is an unpredictable page turner about good versus evil. Who will win out in the end? Love it. Love it. And then it says, kept you wondering what would happen next every step of the way, right up until the very last few pages. Afterwards, I'm going to ask, is there a sequel to this book? Is there a space for a sequel?
Yes, there is space for a sequel, but it's probably not going to come out until 2026, because I'm working on a middle grade book right now.
I love it. That's right. Y'all hear this? She's a real writer. Stop playing. Then it says, that other comment says, if you are interested in hauntings, possessions, soulmates, and purgatory, this story is for you. Oh, look at the combo. We love that combo. Soulmates and purgatory. And then it says, a wonderful, well-written book. It was hard to put down with great characters and a great plot twist. Sorry. Had me guessing until the very end. So, I mean, this sounds so good. And what I do love, whether people realize it or not, what you wrote nonfiction wise, you seem to handle trauma well. Like there's a processing period for trauma. I don't care if it's real life. This is some of the things we need to do, like in your first book with the cluster headaches and the process of, we just want to feel better. But then now you're over in this fiction world where it's like, it's still up here. It's still in the mind. It's still like, how are you handling all of what you're faced with, but then you're adding like a twist on it. I saw some videos on your page too about they was like, this is great for Halloween or something like that. But what has been how old is this book? And then what has been some of your just your feedback other than this and your feelings about the work?
Well, it's my debut novel, so I tried to have really realistic expectations because, switching from nonfiction to fiction is just a whole other battleground. So I tried to have realistic expectations. I feel like it's done pretty okay. It's been out since October, and I've gotten really good feedback, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. And even though I'm not actively working on the sequel, my brain in the background is always like, "Ooh, this could happen in the next one. Oh, we could do this."
That's right. That's right. Now, do you find the age range? Do you find that it's suitable for even young adults to read?
Oh, definitely. Because Charlie is college age. So David is 22, Charlie is 20. So really in
Love
that
it.
young adult age range, but adult enough to where adults enjoy reading it.
Yes. Yes. The reason why I asked that is because that is an underserved population in literature. That young adult age is just not enough for them. And my daughter's 21, right? So same characters, but she loves the Vampire Diaries. She loves, like, sometimes I ask her, why are you watching all of this evil, gory life? And she just likes it. It's just a thing, and I just feel like them reading it, there's a place where they can relate to sort of that, they want to call it dark or whatever, but no, it's just this kind of these areas that are questionable, but they exist, purgatory and just that world. So I would, if you don't already, I bet you high schools would love to have the author come through and be able to read, like contact those high schools.
Okay. Yeah. So far, I've mostly done libraries and a bookstore by a friend's house. So
No, high schools and and that's fine what you're doing, of course, but high schools and you're a journalist. So that makes you relevant from a writing standpoint and for them to write their stories. And so while you're coming at that angle, here's a book to prove it. Boom. And so next thing you know, they're ordering all the books boop, boop, for the kids. So yeah, I definitely see that. So I just love that you did the book, and love the testimonies. You guys can go to ashleyhattle.com, see it. You said it's on Amazon as well, right?
Yeah, it's on Kindle Unlimited, and so you can get it on Kindle or ebook, and it's also available on paperback on Amazon and Barnes & Noble.
Okay, cool. I want to show you guys this. Look, this is what I want to show them, honey, because I thought this was important. You see, and I know how this is. You see those books stacked up on that desk, right? You see, stacked up. But this is what I thought was so impressive. Ashley Hattle ships them out, baby. You had like 50 pre-orders or something like that?
Yes. Yeah, I was so like,
how'd you do that? Go ahead.
It was very heartwarming that a lot of my friends and family were excited to purchase and read it. I try to support all of the authors in my life, and it was really cool to have that support.
So before the book was out, people were able to pre-order on your website.
Yeah, I did I did a cover reveal and then realized I hated that cover. So redid the cover and started pre-orders. And yeah, that's really where I got most of that feedback from, because some people got to read the book early, so they could leave reviews. And I think I'm going to do another round of that to get more reviews.
It's so important. People, I try to tell people about pre-ordering. Pre-ordering one is from a marketing standpoint, it's everything, because it creates it's like if you do a good job describing it, they're gonna order it. Like, oh God, I can't wait to hear that, right? So pre-ordering is great, and then it gives you the capital you need to go ahead and print and do the things. So that was such a great move, and I'm glad you had good feedback from that, and had people come out and support to the book to do that. And so you guys, my girl Ashley Hattle is going to be at the book fair. We're going to have one more message because I want you to understand where we're going to find Ashley in August. The next book fair is August 9th, but I want to give you an idea of sort of what you're going to be expecting when you do. So let's just take a quick look, and then we'll come back to get some finishing words from our girl. Hold on. We'll see you in a minute.
Soulful Chicago book fairs are the most exciting Black book fairs on the planet. Born in July of 2016, Soulful Chicago book fairs have both increased the literary marketplace for Black writers and given lovers of Black literature places to find books about the Black experience the world over. The main summer book fair stretches 4 city blocks on 61st Street between Cottage Grove and King Drive. Each block is characterized by its own genre, donning the works of fiction authors, nonfiction authors, and children's authors. The day begins with a procession of elders atop a float, demonstrating the book fair's honoring of community elders. The entertainment of the Soulful Chicago Book Fair has been second to none. Audiences travel to its Grammy-level stage, which has featured musical artists such as Eric Roberson, King, and many of Chicago's multicultural talents. The book fair's community stage sits equidistant from either end and showcases puppet shows, open mic sessions, and author talks for festival goers to enjoy. Aspiring authors have enjoyed the Soulful Chicago Book Fair's lineup of helpful workshops on publishing, writing for children, and legalities of the publishing industry and more. From its exhibitors to its entertainment, its workshops to its overall power, Soulful Chicago Book Fairs will continue to breathe literary life and prosperity into the South Side of Chicago for decades to come.
Oh, I just love watching that. Oh gosh. And I mean, the Soulful Chicago Book Fair, I love that video, but that video, most of the footage is from like our first book fair. And so we're like in our 8th year already. We've done so much. And really the message and the mission is to have, where do you find a Black book in the Black community? Like, you just don't. Where do you find books in general? There's a myth that, you know, if you want to hide something from a Black person, put it in a book. Yeah, whatever. I get thousands of people out at a book fair and there's only books. And so that myth, we're going to do away with it. But it's really about celebrating the telling of stories of different kinds, from our point of view. Like, it's just you go to Barnes and Nobles, it's hard to find a book by a Black person. So that's great. No shade on Barnes and Nobles, but we're going to, like I said earlier, if you see a problem, look at what you didn't do and know why it's a problem. So yeah, we're going to fill a void and really have our stories replete in the environment. And I love Ashley, because Ashley was like, wait a minute, I didn't know this was a Black book fair. Wait a minute, I'm not Black. I was like, girl, I was like, you are welcome in our house. You don't have to worry about that. Like, because it's not really about that. It's about us having a platform where you have this. How populous are we in America, but you don't have our representation in certain areas, and in the literary industry, we just don't. So we're going to do it. We're going to make it happen and make the book fair what it is. And we've even taken it to the metaverse. So I put the website at the bottom of the page, guys, because I want you to be able to not only go to the website, see what it's about, get an idea of what you're in store for, but please donate as well. Donating is important. As soon as you come to soulfulchicagobookfair.com, you'll see the donate at the top of the page, and boop, it'll lead you right to where you want to go. So Ashley, my love, how did you even find out that we existed to even register and be a part?
Well, I did a search for book fairs in the Chicago area, and your website was the first one to come up. So I submitted a ticket, and yes, I did not know that the event was primarily for Black authors, but I am thankful that I get to be here, and I'm so excited to learn from other authors and read some of these books.
Sure. And we want to learn from you. Like, obviously, you have data that we need regardless. It has nothing to do with race, but, I'm glad that, first of all, I'm so glad it was the first thing that came up. Let me do a little dance. But and I'm so glad that you definitely registered, because you're part of the family now. It's just nothing you can do about it, and that just makes you part of. What I love about what we do, I know a lot of events too. I'm an author too, but I don't know other events that put you on the radio, do a podcast on you, that really treat you like we market you guys. And that's because I am an author, and I do know the quality needed in our experiences. There are some other book fairs around the world that you'll see, they'll have 3 blocks, but 2 blocks of books and 1 block of shea butter and earrings. But everybody goes to that place, and they're not spending money with the authors. So in our book fair, no, baby, it's all authors. That's all you're going to get, are writers, baby. And the fact that thousands come out just says volumes to, what we do and who we are servicing. So give us, in our last few minutes, just give us a word of wisdom or something that you want the audience to take with them about, who you are and what you expect from them when you meet them at the book fair.
Well, I'm a journalist and writer. I'm really excited to get to share my cluster headache book and A Haunting Between Worlds at the book fair. But I'm mostly excited about networking and meeting other authors. And I'm new to this aspect. And so I just want to soak in as much as I can.
She's part of the family now, baby. So we just want to say to you guys, thank you for tuning in to another great episode of Gathering of the Griots. You're here with myself, Asada, and today our lovely guest, Ashley Hattle, who's not only a nonfiction writer, but also a fiction writer. Very intriguing fiction. I'm sure. I think I might have to get that for my daughter just so that she could get into that world. And because I always say, what's the last book you read? And it's not really a thing, but I guess sometimes we're not writing what's interesting to them. But anyway, thanks so much for being here today with us, Ashley.
And thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, and we look forward to seeing you on August 9th, guys. Put it down on your calendar. That's when our Soulful Chicago Book Fair will be taking place right here in the Woodlawn area. So until next Tuesday, we see you guys, and we're going to close out with that female solution message. Stay tuned. Let me get to it. Awesome.
We've come to the end of our show today. If you missed any broadcasts, go to our website for the audio and video archives at www.thefemalesolution.com. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to thank all of you who participated in today's discussions. And to our global family joining us from all around the world, we say thank you. To our family in China, xie xie. India, dhanyavad. Japan, arigato. Korea, kamsamnida. Russia, spasiba. Germany, danke. Poland, dziękuję. France, merci. Spain, gracias. Italy, grazie. Egypt, shukran. Ghana, madasi. Nigeria, eshe. South Africa, ngiyabonga. Senegal, jareh. Kenya, asante. Israel, toda. Pakistan, shukriya. Afghanistan, tashakur. Saudi Arabia and Palestine, shukran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Thank you, and may peace be upon you and the mercy of God and God's blessings.